Hi, welcome to my crib. This is where I... Disclaimer, these are all my thoughts and opinions. I have been in college for the last 2 years. I'm gonna share with you the things that I have learned or someone told me, just knowledge that I've collected about going to college. So before you choose your college, there are some things that you should know, some things you should think about. So I was at a job interview and the person who was interviewing me was talking about their college experience. They went to a community college in, let's say, Washington, and their professor taught at the community college. He taught like 1 or 2 classes, but then he would go to UW and that was his main job, was teaching at UW. So going to community college, you can actually get these professors that people are paying thousands and thousands of dollars for a much cheaper price. So something my advisor told me was that after I had graduated from my community college with my associates, I could apply to any college in Washington, any 4-year university in Washington state, and automatically get accepted. Disregarding my SAT scores, etc., I could automatically get accepted in. Apply for as many scholarships as you possibly can, regardless of what your plan is. Another thing to think about before going to college is if you have Running Start, if Running Start is an option at your school, do it. Take it. It will take years off of your life. When you're applying for college, get at least like 5 reference letters, because you can use those letters depending on what they say. Sometimes you can use these letters when you're applying for jobs. Might get a little controversial here. School is something we have done since we have been little kids. We've been doing school since we were 3, and we know how to do well. And if you aren't doing well, you know how to do well. You just have to put in the effort to do that. And so going to college is almost like a safe option because you won't be judged for not knowing what you want to do. But the thing is that if you go to college and you're not sure what you want to do, so you pick a random thing, or you pick something that your family is expecting you to get a job in, then you're spending so much money and time and effort and tears into getting a degree that you don't even know if you want or will use in the future. But I just want to emphasize that you have your whole life to get a degree. Like, you have 4 years to get a bachelor's degree. And you can do that at any point in your life. You don't expire once you become 30, 40, 50, 60. You can still get a degree and you can further your education. So it's okay to experiment and test the waters. There are also other options rather than just college. There's community colleges, there are trade schools, there are apprenticeships. So ultimately what I'm saying is to choose the degree that you want, not what you think other people want you to do. If you're going to college, look up the resources that your school has to offer, whether you're online, hybrid, or going in person. Your school has options available to you, whether that's counseling, therapy, maybe they have a gym that you can use, or a library, free Wi-Fi. Utilize the sources and take advantage of them. Another thing is to look for jobs at your school, because not only can you get paid, but you can make more connections and also test what you like and what you don't like. Joining clubs or getting a job at your college gives you the opportunity to have connections that can push you further into what you want to do. I don't want to come across as though I'm bragging. I want to share with you how I achieved the things that I did so that you can also achieve that if you're interested. I've had a 4.0 every single quarter that I've been in school. One thing that I wish I knew beforehand was that you don't always have to buy your textbooks. Now be careful with this one, okay? How do I say this? So a lot of professors give lectures and online reading options. So if your professor is one that gives a 30-minute lecture going over the reading, talking about concepts, then you probably don't need your textbook because he's going so into detail. Another thing is that if you do need a textbook and you don't want to spend a bunch of money, on TikTok, just type in free textbook and there are a plethora of videos that pop up on all of these sites that have search engines where you can search in your ISBN number for your textbook, and sometimes it will pop up as a free PDF, and so you can download that. Another thing is, before choosing your class, go on to Rate My Professor and look up all of your professors. A lot of schools and colleges, if you sign up for a class, you have like a week and a half or a week to switch out of that class without being charged or it showing up on your manuscript. So if you have that option, go through your syllabus, look at the schedule, look at the requirements for the discussion posts, any possible essays, any possible assignments, and if they have preloaded modules, go into the modules and see what is going to be expected of you. And if it looks like you want to cry, go find another class. The next thing is actually something I learned in one of my communications classes. And so my professor, she was talking about first impressions and the value behind them. Basically, first impressions are so valuable because there is the halo and the horns effect, where it's like, the halo effect is if you have a good impression on someone and you're early, you're intuitive, the person who is meeting you, they're gonna have a positive outlook on you. They're gonna be like, they're a great person. And therefore, if you mess up later down the road, if you forget to turn something in, they'll be like, oh, that's so out of her character, like that's a one-time thing, it's not going to happen again. Here, let me give you an extension. The professor is going to be way more understanding if they have a positive first impression of you. For the horn side of the fact, if you come into a class and you're negative and you're back talking, you're challenging the professor, they're going to have a negative first impression of you, and then later down the road, everything that you do, they're going to equate it to that negative first impression. If you are late to turn something in, they will be less forgiving. In order to have these good impressions on your professors, you have to make an effort to have a good introduction, have a good first impression. So if you're in person and you go into your class, go a little bit early so that you have time to introduce yourself to the professor. With COVID, it's kind of weird. I don't know if you should shake their hand right now, but maybe go up to them and be like, hi, professor, blah, 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 blah. My name is Eliza Myers, and I'm so excited to learn about everything that you have to offer. And I just want to say thank you for all the time that you put into preparing materials for class. I can't wait to learn what you have to share. You can say that in person, or you can email your professor that on day one of class. So that already is giving them a first impression. You're showing up, you're being there, and you're being engaged and proactive in your learning. The next portion of having this good impression is you need to also check in later. You need to message your professor and say, hey, I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed learning about XYZ concept in your class. And this shows them that you are being appreciative of the things that they are sharing with you, and you're taking something home. Now you have your class picked out, you got your professor, you've emailed them, you've talked to them. Now you have to actually learn. Think about how many people have gone through the class that you are currently going through. I guarantee that at least one person has made a Quizlet for the tests, for the quizzes, for the concepts that are being learned. So look up your class and type in Quizlet at the end, and a bunch of options on Quizlet will pop up, and you can use those to study. The last thing, if your professor gives you an online reading on your computer and you are just like, oh my god, I cannot do this, I cannot read all of this. Something I have discovered is text to speech. And so on your laptop, if you highlight a text and then 2-finger right hand click, at the bottom it will say text to speech or speech to text or something. And you click on that and it says start talking, and it will read to you what is on the page. And so now you're like, okay, well now it's reading to me, so now what? Now your messy room, your laundry you haven't folded in 3 weeks, the dishes that are piling up in the corner of the room, the papers that are scattered everywhere. Now what you do is you listen to that lecture and you fold your clothes, you wash your dishes. I put up all of these pages from this book, got ready, and took self-portraits, all while I was listening to my text. If you have more questions about college, about getting good grades, etc., whatever, let me know. I can make another video explaining more into detail or more things I didn't talk about. Thank you for watching this video. If you stayed till this point, comment the book emoji down below and I'll know that we are actually best friends. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, like the video, the whole 9 yards, the whole shebang, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye!